Hello everyone and welcome back to the final E3 episode from Jay the One-Eyed Gamer and his friend DragonMan.
The hype train is dead. It's gone. We're not doing it anymore. We're gonna be super happy though.
Essentially. No, but we are at the tail end of this. This is the final episode because now we're going to be talking about the third parties. That's going to include probably the third party press events, which probably aren't going to be that extensive as of the other ones.
Some that we do really want to go across and deal with because you know what? They deserve the credit and time that we will put into them. We try to avoid them when we were talking about the the big three. So we want to dedicate some time to them because they do have their own showcases and we want to address them and deal with that. So
yes, so just so you know, we're also not going to just be focusing on the events, which only a couple of the third parties are doing, like EA, Bethesda, and Square Enix, and I think the PCs. We're going to be talking about a pretty good, healthy group of everyone there.
Yeah, we're going to be addressing, I think, everybody who's going to make announcements. We're going to hear something from Red Dead, Rockstar talking about Red Dead, and maybe they'll announce maybe another online expansion for Grand Theft Auto Online. So, we'll probably be talking about a little bit of everything. Maybe some titles we just, we didn't get the chance to give a highlight to, and we want to talk a little bit more
about.
And
if there are any titles we don't announce, or any games that we don't announce, or companies we don't talk about during this, please feel free to leave in the comments section, telling us what companies you think we didn't talk about, or what do you think they'll announce, because we are just going to go off based what we know, what we think could happen, and probably the most likely, because at this point, since it's third party, they pretty much are the lifeblood of a console.
Or did we not give a game that you thought we should have given a little bit more credit to, or a little bit more of a spotlight in our in the exclusives and the other ones?
Exactly.
You probably left us a comment beforehand, but if you want to sound off down there, tell us about it a little bit more. We'll try to take a look at it. And
exactly. Without further ado, let's get into it. The first guys we should talk about, I guess, are EA, because they're going to be the first somewhat event of E3. And I'll be dead honest, I'm not interested in EA. I don't think a lot of people are interested in EA. There's only probably about 2 games, I think, that people are interested to hear about, and that's Anthem, which I have no ideas about because I only saw the trailer at last year's E3.
I'm not sure. I think they only showed off really a teaser for that. That's supposed to be their big thing. I think that's their answer to Mass Effect. Well, having a Mass Effect. So then
Battlefield 2?
No,
that just got
it's Battlefield 5.
Oh yes, right. Set in World War II, right? Or
it's set in some sort of fantasy.
I thought it was set in World War II.
Yeah, I thought so too. And then I watched the trailer.
I didn't watch the trailer, so I have no opinion on this whatsoever.
I don't know how to say it without being correct about it, so we'll just avoid it.
Yeah, that's just a safe opinion. Let's just say we're both not extremely hyped for it. And then I guess the only other game that EA could talk about that maybe might get me interested is a Dragon Age game. But I haven't played a Dragon Age game since Dragon Age 2, because Dragon Age 2 was, in my opinion, pretty bad. At least the final act.
You know what? Dragon Age 2 was bad. I mean, just, there's this argument that floats around and people are like, well, Mass Effect 3 was a great game until you got to the last act. No, let's just call it what it is. It was a not great game. The ending, is a sore spot, but it was not a great game. The same thing with Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age 2, it wasn't just the ending. It was everything leading up to that ending. The gameplay was kind of interesting and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But Dragon Age Inquisition at least tried to address it and try to create a convergence to the story of the things that happened. Spoilers if you don't want to, you don't want to be spoiled by it. I didn't play the expansions to it, so I don't know exactly, but I do know at least the main game. They wanted to deal with the problems of Dragon Age 1 and Dragon Age 2. And in Dragon Age 2, they brought up about the pseudo Darkspawn, and so they dealt with that issue because he was the main villain of Dragon Age Inquisition, and Dragon Age Inquisition basically was just trying to be a unifying force. And that's basically what I got from the game. They did hint at a sequel to the game where basically they talked about, we've only been dealing with the humans. And we've done a little bit with the Qunari, but we didn't deal with the elves. So we have the elf gods coming back because, again, a spoiler, Solus was the elf version of Fenrir.
Oh, wow.
So
Ragnarok?
Yeah, I guess they're trying to, do that.
I miss Dragon Age Origins. I miss my Grey Warden so
much.
Why
can't we just have a crusade against Darkspawn again? That's all I want.
I don't know. But I think that's enough about EA or else we'll get really upset.
Yeah.
Next will be probably Bethesda.
Bethesda's my bread and butter.
That's all you. I think I'll be quiet on this one.
Yeah, they're going to talk about Elder Scrolls Online, Somerset. Somerset Isle is a really great island, a wonderful thing. I think it's being wasted on Elder Scrolls Online because I feel Elder Scrolls Online is a waste. But that's because it's an MMO, and I don't like MMOs. I like single-player games.
I hope you could hear that.
I hope so too. I said I like single player games. If you couldn't, if you could tell my opinion on MMOs. Yeah, I think it should be an interesting game. I would like to see the Somerset Isles. They're a really, like, when you read about the lore and things like that, they are a really amazing idea. Like a tower made of glass and wizards and magic, and it would be awesome. I think it'd be a great place to actually check out. You know, again, it's in an MMO, so I'm probably not going to check it out. They're probably going to spend time talking about Rage because they just did that release trailer. They're probably going to, spend some time showing you off some gameplay. I would think, I know they're not, they haven't said it, but I think they want to get Elder Scrolls out there because it's been a decade.
Has it?
Yes.
When did Skyrim come out?
2011.
Are you serious?
Yes. 2011 is when that game came out because it was 11/11/11 when it came out. It's been a decade.
Wow.
Almost.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And I would like to see a new Elder Scrolls game, but Todd Howard and them said, well, we can't make it till we get 2 major titles out. And they said they haven't done the 2 major titles. I think Rage 2 is one of the major titles. I hope they announce the next major title in, the E3 conference. Beyond that, I'm trying to think of what else they got going. Maybe it's Doom. Maybe Doom 2 is the next major title. Maybe we'll get something for, I think Prey came out. Maybe we'll get some DLC for that. I think that was like a year ago, though. I don't know what else they could do, really. I honestly, the best thing they could do is stop making Skyrim, remake. I know they have to put it on everything. I'm sure they're going to announce the smartphone version of it. That's going to be boring. I'm tired of Skyrim. I've beaten that game, with inches of its life, so I don't need to play Skyrim anymore. I want to play a new Elder Scrolls. The only other thing they could do is, make an HD remake of one of the older games.
Morrowind?
No, everybody loves Morrowind. I don't want to see an HD remake of Morrowind. I'd rather see a remake of Oblivion, but that's kind of never going to happen. So maybe they'll make a remake of Morrowind. I highly doubt it because Morrowind had so much to it. It was the last game to really have a lot of depth and complexity to it, so I don't see them remaking that.
Alright, I guess we'll move on from here. I guess we'll go to Ubisoft, and from Ubisoft, I don't expect anything other than probably maybe something about Far Cry 5, maybe an expansion, maybe another Assassin's Creed announcement.
Well, Far Cry 5's their expansion, the one that's set in Vietnam, is supposed to come out right before E3, so we'll probably get that. They might hint at some other stuff for Far Cry. Okay, so there was that Walmart leak I think we've talked about before.
Yep.
One of the big ones in there was an Assassin's Creed game. And another thing that came out that they said was it might be set in World War II, which that's on everybody's wish list. So I could see it happening. I could see everybody going for it because Assassin's Creed is aimless at this point. I didn't play Origins, so you guys can correct me if you've played it and say, well, no, there's some big subplot to it. The last one I played was Rogue. I just played the HD remake. That's not the last one in the series I played. I played up to that point. I played Syndicate. Origins, that talked about back in the past in Egypt, and Egypt was one of the settings that people wanted to go to. The only other Assassin's Creed that people want to do is a World War II one and a one set in Japan. And they're hinting at, well, they might do a World War II one.
I guess they're going to talk about Beyond Good and Evil 2. I played the first one years ago on the PlayStation 2. I didn't fall in love with it, but I understand why it's a cult classic. But I don't know anything about the second one, and I haven't really been that interested in the second game from...
It looks uninteresting to me, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It's not catching my interest. Honestly, what I would like to have them talk about would be another Prince of Persia game, because honestly, I loved playing Prince of Persia when I was younger. Sands of Time I never beat, but I enjoyed playing. I played, I think, at least all 3 of them at one point. I did like the 2008 one. I wish they would go back to that, but apparently that was a critical flop.
Yeah, so I think they're going to put that on the shelf for a while until... I think there needs to be kind of a resurgence in that type of game, and unless they put Assassin's Creed on the sideline, I don't think we're going to see another Prince of Persia for a little bit.
Yeah, that kind of makes me sad, but it is what it is. And then next, we'll talk about Square Enix. And from Square Enix, they actually have a lot of stuff they have to talk about for their fans.
Yeah,
and they need to reassure us of some things.
Yes, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I understand. You really are in love with that. You're looking really hard into it, and you need a lot of reassurances about that.
Yeah? That's the game. That's the game.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
the one I need
I know,
reassurance.
I know.
Not the Final Fantasy VII remakes.
I know. You hate that game. You hate Kingdom Hearts. You don't need anything about that.
You know, this is a crappy bit.
It's a great bit.
No, but what we're going to talk about is, of course, Kingdom Hearts 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and what's going to happen. Kingdom Hearts 3, they just had an event, obviously. They showed off the game to people who were invited to the event, and it's been positive. People have been saying they really enjoyed it. They didn't give a release date, but they've been hinting that probably either before E3, but I'm going to say probably at their event, they're going to give a release date for Kingdom Hearts 3.
They said early June, so
I'm going to assume if it's E3 announced, it's probably going to come out maybe October. I think it will come out October of this year, because there's not a lot of games that would probably come out in October if the Pokemon game doesn't come out.
Yeah, I'm just going to say it. I have a lot of negativity towards Kingdom Hearts. It's not because the game is bad or that I think it's horrible. I've always had a problem with kind of nostalgia when it comes to that. I think it blinds a lot of people to certain faults and things like that to the game. So when I say this, I guess you can say it's rest assured that it's actual genuine compliment to it. I think it looks beautiful. I think it is Pixar level in detail. I don't think, no offense to you guys, it'll be worth the wait of 10 years to actually see the end of this trilogy, but
I'm not gonna lie, I'm with you on that. I don't think the payoff's gonna be that high, only because when you have to wait that long for something to be a conclusion of it, it's usually hard to live up to that expectation you've been building for all those years.
But I think graphically it is a beautiful jump from
I agree. I think it is gorgeous.
from
Everything
2
I've seen of
to
it.
3.
Oh, dude, I think it's gonna be the best Kingdom Hearts game yet.
Yeah.
The worlds are gonna be huge. We might have more worlds. We might even get Marvel worlds in it, from what some
I know
people
we're
think.
getting Big Hero 6, but
Yes.
you know, you never know with them. You know.
Exactly, and honestly, again, it's going to be the end of the first arc, which
Yeah.
is the Dark Seeker arc, which deals with ants. And honestly, we've had so many games building this up. I finally want to kick that bastard's ass. Like, I want to be able to say, I did it. I beat Kingdom Hearts 3. I finished the story, and I don't know if I'll pick up any Kingdom Hearts after that, but I will say this. When I beat Kingdom Hearts 3, I would be like, I've waited 10 years for this game. I don't know if it's going to fulfill every wish I had, but it finally exists, and that's all I can be happy about.
I guess I would hope, for the fans' sake, that it's kind of just a hard end. You know what I'm saying? Don't leave too many things undealt with. Just do what they did with God of War. Make it a hard end. Say, if Kingdom Hearts 3 was the end of Kingdom Hearts, let's say, you know, Square somehow figured out that Kingdom Hearts, you know, was a flop, it was a critical failure, but Kingdom Hearts 3 was the end of it, you could put it down and finally say it was over. Let that be how Kingdom Hearts 3 ends, and then worry about how you deal with Kingdom Hearts 4. How do you restart it? How do you, you know, do that? Let that be, you know, future Nomura's problem.
Or someone else's problem besides future Nomura's.
Yeah, hopefully.
And then next, the biggest one, especially for me, because I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy VII. It's one of my favorite JRPGs of all time, and I love playing it because I love the characters too. So when they said they were doing the remake, and then they told us it was going to be in multiple parts, like the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy, I kind of lost a little heart, because I was like, if I remember, how many years was there between each of those games? Like 2? 13, 13-2, and then 13-3 Lightning something? I think it was like 2 years between each game. Because the thing is with 7, because we've heard rumors about the production problems. They were trying to get CyberConnect 2 to help, but apparently that didn't do well, so now they're doing it internally.
I tried to do the math, because I'm like, I think we were in high school when the first one came out. And then
13? Yeah, I think we were.
And I think it was 13-2 was almost at the end of when we graduated.
So,
and then it was in like the middle of college that the last one came out.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I remember making jokes the whole time about it.
But my thing is, since this is 7, and 7's so beloved by everyone, and I understand they want to do it right, I get that. The problem is, you can't space too much time between part 1, 2, and 3, because the longer you gap...
Especially if it's episodic.
Yes, and the thing with that is, the 13 games, they had a story, but but they weren't all one game originally. This is one game. Like, if you go on the PlayStation 4 and download that version, you will be able to play Final Fantasy VII from start to finish the way it was intended. They're literally cutting it up into sections, and we don't know how many parts in the remake are going to be there. Personally, I wish there would be 3 parts because there were only 3 discs in the game. I would like the first game to end probably right when you run into Sephiroth in the current timeline. So when you're on the ship to the coastal hotel area, that I think is a great spot, because then it can segue into disc 2 or part 2, which then can run up, I think, to about like the Weapons Awakening.
But you know what they could do? They could just follow like how TFS is doing with the abridged series.
They could, but season 1 of TFS ends really short in the game.
Yeah, but
like it ends right when they get out of Midgar. If I'm gonna be charged a full $60 release, this game better at least get me up to Junior Harbor.
Well, I was gonna say is the way they do that though is that they suggested, aren't they, that they're gonna expand it a little bit more?
Yes, they are gonna expand it a little bit more, but here's the thing though.
I was gonna say is
Midgar is not even the first hour of the game.
Oh well.
That's the thing. Like, Midgar is not the first hour. Actually, no, it might be the first hour of the game, but I have a 50-hour game. That's not really good price-wise if you're going to give me for $60. Even if you tell me that game can be 60 hours, then here we go, okay? That means I only get probably Cloud, Barret, Tifa, Aerith, and Red 13. Core party, but in the first disc, I can get all of them plus Yuffie.
Okay, well.
And then in the second disc, you get, I believe you get Sid, Kate Sith, and Vincent. And Vincent and Yuffie are optional. So that's why when I think, like, how they're going to do it, it should be first disc, or the first game should at least go up to Junior Harbor and make Yuffie a required character instead of a special, like, secret character, so she can be in cutscenes. But that's just my thing. I just want to know what their plans are going forward, what their time frames are for the games, because you can't have too big of a gap between each one. And then I guess for more about Square Enix, I would like to see anything about like a Final Fantasy Tactics game. I love tactics games.
Yeah.
I would love to see that come to like the PlayStation 4 or the Vita. If it's on the Vita, I probably won't get it because I don't have a Vita, but I would just like to see that franchise come back.
Well, let's see them talk about their Avengers game.
Yes, I would love to hear about their Avengers game because that was announced a year ago, and what was most annoying about that is Square even said, we've announced it, but we're not going to talk about it for a year, which I was like, that really grinds my gears. Why would you do that?
Because they want you to get hyped about it.
I mean, after Infinity Wars, I'm definitely hyped.
Try to think of another meme other than I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
And then probably to finish off Square Enix, I would want them to talk about Final Fantasy VIII because honestly, we've gotten 7 and 9 on the PlayStation 4 as ports, so why not give 8 the love it deserves? And then we can finally end out like that trilogy of like PS1 Final Fantasy era games, which I grew up playing.
I think the only other thing that I could suggest that they could do is they kind of hinted at least in the HD remake of Final Fantasy X, maybe hint a little bit more towards finishing out that apparent trilogy. You know?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. But I feel like if they did that, that would probably be on the level of like maybe not remake, but same level. You know what I'm talking about? Like they would treat that as like it's a brand new thing, like they did with Lightning Returns and all that. Like they would treat that as a big thing.
Give it a new system.
Exactly.
You know, maybe I didn't particularly enjoy 15, but you know, give it 15's sort of system. Figure out how they're gonna end that whole trilogy.
Exactly. And then after that, I guess we'll talk about other third parties. Capcom. Capcom, like we talked in the Sony video, Devil May Cry 5. I think it's gonna happen. It's probably gonna happen on the PlayStation press conference. They'll probably just show you a reveal trailer, and then probably via stages like maybe IGN or GameSpot, they might have like setups and show off maybe the game if it's playable. And I think if it is playable,
maybe that, you know what they'll probably do, they'll give you like a stage.
Yeah, you know what the party
lead you up to. They'll probably show off an environment. They'll show off you like maybe some of the basic enemies, and then it'll end with like hinting at a boss. Yeah, and then they'll cut off to like a cutscene that will hint at whoever the actual villain of the series is.
Or it might hint off to maybe Virgil being playable.
Well, that's what I was
like
gonna
maybe
say.
It will, because from what people have said, 5 is going to have both Dante, Virgil, and Nero, and it's going to be set chronologically, I think, past Devil May Cry 2.
Now here's crazy thought. Here's what Devil May Cry 5 is. What they do is, so that Virgil's in the game, they go off of after 4, and they say, okay, you've got Nero, you've got Dante. Both of them travel. The whole point of the game is they travel to revive Virgil, to allow him to be redeemed, because, you know, at the end, you know, you have 3, how he died and things like that, and then you have in 1, how Virgil died again. But this time, they free him from, I can't remember what his name is, Mundus?
Yeah, Mundus.
They free him from Mundus's thing, you know, because they already defeated Mundus in the first one. In this one, you know, it's just, hey, we're gonna, you know, go down, we're gonna, whatever, that's the whole purpose of the game. They just talk about they have Nero and Dante
But the thing is with that, though, I would want it to be that Virgil being revived is not the end game. Like, you want to play as Virgil.
Well, yeah, that's what you would do, is that you would have 3/4 of the way, let's say, you revive Virgil, and then it switches over, and then you play from Virgil's perspective towards the end of the game, and then you can switch back to Nero or Dante to finish the game.
I think they do Devil May Cry 5 that way. What I want is, I don't want them to do what they did for Devil May Cry 4, and what I mean by that is, Devil May Cry 4 was half a game, because you literally did the first half of the game as Nero, and then you just backtrack to the first part of the game as Dante. And I don't think that what you should do for that. I think if you're gonna have Dante, if you're gonna let Dante be the first, like, you know, third, have his stages for him, give Nero his own stages, and then give Virgil his own stages, you know?
Okay, because you know what I was going to say, and this, you know, it's a lot more complicated, and I don't know if Capcom would go into it, because it is a very nostalgic and old school way to play it. Play through the game, you're Dante. But throughout it, Nero's doing his own stuff. You sent him off to go, you know, like, Nero, you know, Dante's got to go do these things. Nero, you need to go over here and do these things so that we can set up for the other stuff. You play through the game, you beat it as Dante. Next thing, it has new game plus maybe for Dante, but it also has a new game, and it says, hey, you now play as Nero. You do all of Nero's stuff. He has his own entire storyline. It doesn't follow through the same path that Dante went. Again, he gets his own stages. You beat it as Nero. Well, the third one, it comes up and says, play as Virgil. And you literally, you just say, hey, you know, Virgil's in, like, you know, he's in hell, and he has to go and do his stuff. You play as Virgil all the way up until the point of his revival, and then you have to deal with the last boss, and he has his own set of stages. And then you get kind of a Dante's Inferno with Virgil. And that way it explains, you know, when you're at the end of the game with Dante, it goes, well, why is Nero so strong? Well, because when you play through, it assumes that you got to max level as Nero. Why is Virgil so strong? Well, it assumes that you played through as Virgil and he's so strong. And then it explains why the other characters are so strong when you play as them at the end of the game.
That does sound interesting. It does sound very complicated, though, and it sounds like something that would happen when we were younger, like, in those era. I feel like...
See, that would be a good game. That's why.
Ooh, damn. Speaking of a good game, I know a lot of people have been clamoring for this game, too, and we have heard next to nothing, and it's been revealed a lot longer than Devil May Cry 5, and that's the RE2 remake, and I know a lot of people love Resident Evil 2. I personally never got into Resident Evil. I only ever played, I think, RE5, and that's just because it was co-op and it was more actiony, but I know people love the old school Resident Evils.
I hear a lot of people loved the new Resident Evil 7, and I think if they don't talk about RE2 remake, you might see a Resident Evil 2, you know, a sequel to 7, so it'll be RE8.
Probably, but I feel like the remake would make them more money only because of that nostalgia factor, and it's been talked about. It hasn't been talked about, but it's out there, so people know it's coming. It's just a matter of, hey, Capcom, have we gotten to this point? And I guess to end on Capcom, my biggest dream, a Dreamcast collection, or Power Stone, a new Power Stone, or a remake of Power Stone 1 and 2 for, like, the current day consoles, because I just love that game. Let's see what else. Can't really, I mean, for me, I guess Sega, the only thing they could do is just show off more Valkyria Chronicles 4, maybe.
They just released the
collector's
edition.
Yes, but I mean, like, probably give us more gameplay.
Yeah, actually give us a level or
for
two.
The English, and probably maybe Atlas, because I know Atlas is underneath them as a parent company. But Atlas, the only thing I really want for them, I know people love Persona, and more power to you if they show off more Persona stuff, but I really just want them to bring over Utawari Runomo Zane, and I want them to bring over for Utawaru Unomo, the remake of the first game. Those are really all I want from Atlas, and that will be my 2 cents on Atlas.
You know, for third parties, a very big one, and I'm surprised that this has slipped your mind, as it is a big part of your channel.
Koei?
Yeah, I was gonna say Warriors Orochi 4 live stream on that day.
I don't think they'll be able to. I don't think they'll have an English version ready by E3. I think the stream that's gonna happen after this video goes up, I think that's gonna be the Japanese version, and I think an English version won't be probably seeable until maybe Gamescom. That's my opinion.
No, I think they will, because you know what they'll probably do? They'll probably do what they did with the last Orochi's game. It'll all be in Japanese, so they'll just have to translate whatever they're saying.
No, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm talking about is if they showed it up at E3, there's not a lot of people who speak or understand Japanese writing.
No, I'm saying what I think they'll do is I think they're going to they'll have the Japanese voice, but they will have the English subtitles.
I don't know. I think that's a little too far out for them. I know they're saying they want it to come out by the end of this year, but I think that, I don't know. That'd be cool if it did.
I don't think it'll be far. I think it'll be far enough, because I think that at least a demo of it, I think they'll have to put something out there, because they have to get the Western audience to start to hook onto it, especially if they're saying it's going to be out by the end of the year.
I would say probably other third parties, Bandai Namco. Bandai Namco, all I can see them is probably like talking about the My Hero game, probably talking about the Naruto game, both the One Piece games that are coming over, I think they'll talk about. I don't see any big reveal from Bandai Namco, just because it's more of a Japanese company, and if they're going to reveal games, they usually do it at their own.
Hint at another anime game
they
that they'll
might
bring over, or
they might reveal one at E3, but usually Bandai Namco has their own events for when they announce stuff, or they show off at like TGS, where the main bread and butter of where their sales are going to be. So I think Bandai Namco in that regard, it's just a safe bet of like what we've seen so far. They might announce one new thing, maybe, but I'm not sure.
So I'll just throw some out there, because I think you're almost done with all the third parties that you could think of, right? Or
yeah, I think I'm done with almost.
You're almost tapped out.
Yeah, one more. Personal one, I don't know who will do it, but there is a game called Grand Blue Re-Fantasy, an action RPG being developed by Platinum, and it is based off a mobile game, and it looks amazing, and I really hope it comes over to the West. And I'm pretty sure the people who make the game are going to be at E3, so maybe they might announce it's coming to the West sometime next year. I don't know, but I would really love to see that game come over to the West.
We just forgot another one from, I think, Bamco. Soul Calibur.
Yes! Oh my god, you're right.
Soul Calibur 6. They're probably going to show off a little bit more gameplay. They'll probably, they just announced Yoshimitsu.
I think their next character reveal will probably be Maxi, just because he's an iconic character. Honestly, at E3, I would like them to show off like 3 characters, and I know that's asking a lot, but
I don't think it's asking too much, because you know what they'll probably do? They've already announced Ivy, right?
Yes.
So they'll probably get
Astaroth.
I was going to say, the 3 characters they might do as the 3 returning, they might not do all these 3, but they'll probably do, here's Cervantes, because Cervantes is a popular one. Here's Astaroth. Here's Mac. They might not do Cervantes. If they don't do Cervantes, they'll be like, here's a new character.
Yes.
And then they'll do Astaroth and Maxi. Or they'll do Maxi, they'll save Astaroth for later, and they'll do Cervantes.
Yeah, because you definitely want some of those old school characters back, and Astaroth, Cervantes, and Maxi are all well-known characters.
And well-beloved.
Yes.
So
personally, I want Raphael, but that's just because if I get Raphael, I'll have my 3 guys there. Mitsurugi, my main, Raphael, my second, and Kilik is my third.
Yeah, so, I mean, they might do Raphael, but I think it'll probably be 2 originals and a new guy.
Yeah.
And 2 olds. But, yeah, if we're going to go into other third parties, I think Firaxis is probably going to announce some stuff. They probably will announce, like, some, like, small DLC between, Civ 6 already had their big expansion back in February, correct? I think. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I apologize, guys. I did play it. I did enjoy a little bit of it. I think they'll probably announce another, like, DLC pack or another character, a new leader to put out there. The other thing from Firaxis that they might put out there, they haven't really talked about, but XCOM. They might do XCOM 3, or maybe there'll be another expansion for XCOM 2. I don't think so, but maybe they'll do XCOM 3 instead. But the other game that I could think of that would be out there is Phoenix Point. I really want want to see more about that. It's the original XCOM creator. He's shown off a little bit, and it is the true sequel to XCOM, from what I can see. So I would love to see more about that.
I think that's gonna about do it, guys, because this is quite clearly our longest video yet.
We're gonna get Crisis 4.
Jesus.
No, it's okay.
But obviously makes sense because there were a lot of people to talk about, and there are a lot of games that come from the third parties that we're very passionate about and we want to see. And hopefully some of that passion gets into you guys. That's going to do it for our E3 videos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed them. We've enjoyed making them. I've enjoyed hanging out with my friend DragonMan over here, enjoying the videos.
Yeah. Sorry we're low energy. We've been going at this for a very long time.
Yeah, we
did this all in one sitting.
We did. It's kind of crazy, but that's what happens with busy guys and their schedules.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Again, I want to thank you guys very much. Leave us comments. Tell us what games you think. Tell us again at the beginning of the video what companies we didn't talk about, or what companies you think are going to announce what at E3. Because again, this is E3. This is pretty much gamer Christmas for us.
Yeah.
So, as always, guys, I want to thank you very much. Have a great day. And remember, let's rock.
Let's Ikitosen.
I hate you so much.